When we talk about media, our minds usually jump to the content, right? The news story we just read, the movie we streamed, that viral video everyone's sharing. But what if the real story, the thing that's actually changing us, isn't the content at all? What if it's the technology that's delivering it?
I mean, really think about that for a second. Is your smartphone just some neutral tool you pick up and put down? Or is the very act of using it, the endless scrolling, the tapping, the constant notifications, is that fundamentally reshaping how you think, how you talk to people, and how you see the world? That's the huge question we're going to tackle today.
All right, so here's the game plan. We're going to start with the hidden power of the devices themselves, then jump into a pretty radical idea from the 60s. After that, we'll look at the pessimistic backlash, add a much-needed reality check, and then bring it all home to our digital world to try and figure out, who's really calling the shots.
Right. So while most of us are busy debating if a certain news channel is biased or if a TV show is good, there's this whole school of thought from medium theorists who say we're completely missing the point. For them, the biggest, most profound changes don't come from the content, they come from the technology itself. This is the perfect way to think about it. It's like we're arguing over the details of a single leaf while completely ignoring the fact that we're standing in a massive, changing forest. These theorists would say trying to understand the impact of social media by analyzing one TikTok video is as pointless as trying to understand the cultural revolution of the telephone by listening to one phone call.
And that leads us right to the most famous medium theorist of all time, a guy named Marshall McLuhan. Back in the 1960s, he dropped this idea on the world that totally flipped the script on how we talk about technology.
So what on earth does that actually mean? It doesn't mean the content is totally worthless. What it means is that the biggest social impact of any new technology comes from the new scale it introduces into our lives. Think about an airplane. The real message of the airplane isn't the people it carries from point A to point B. The message is how it completely obliterated our sense of distance and shrunk the entire globe. Now, McLuhan broke media down into two fascinating categories. First, you've got hot media. Think of a book or the radio. They're high definition, they basically spoon feed you all the info, and your role is just to sit back and absorb it. On the flip side, you have cool media. Think of the fuzzy, low-res TVs of his time. They're low definition, meaning they leave gaps, and your brain has to actively participate to fill in the blanks. And McLuhan, he was a total optimist about this. He truly believed that the rise of cool electronic media, especially TV, was going to be amazing for us. He thought it would shatter the rigid, top-down world created by print and connect us all in what he famously called a global village, making communication more participatory and tribal again. But, as you can probably guess, not everyone was buying into this utopian vision. In fact, a whole new wave of thinkers came along who argued that electronic media, and TV in particular, were an absolute disaster for society. A thinker named Neil Postman made this incredibly powerful argument. He said, look back at the 1800s. The printed word encouraged serious, rational debate. But then came the telegraph, which gave us a flood of superficial news from places we couldn't do anything about. Then photography came along and boiled complex issues down to simple emotional images. And television? For Postman, TV was the horrifying grand finale. It just combined the worst of everything, creating a world of pure spectacle. And this quote, wow, it just nails his biggest fear. He argued that the very structure of television, jumping from a tragic story to a goofy commercial to the weather report, all connected by that phrase, now this, made deep, connected thought totally impossible. It was training our brains for constant distraction, not focus. Okay, so we've got McLuhan the optimist and Postman the pessimist. Who's right? Well, what if they were both kind of wrong? Or at least, what if they were both missing a massive piece of the puzzle? Turns out there's a big flaw in both of their arguments. That flaw has a name. It's called technological determinism. It's this belief that technology is some kind of independent force that just shows up and automatically causes social change. It's like technology is a billiard ball that hits society and sends it careening off in a predictable direction, completely ignoring all the messy human stuff in between. The bottom line is this. Technology isn't destiny, it's just a tool. I mean, this slide says it all. A knife can be used to prepare a meal, perform life-saving surgery, or, well, its impact depends entirely on who's holding it and why.
The people who invented cell phones never imagined that text messaging would become its killer app. That was driven by us, by teenagers trying to get around calling parents landlines.
So, to really get a handle on a technology's impact, we need a much more complete picture, like this circuit of culture. It shows that a technology is shaped by everything: how it's made, how it's advertised, what rules we put around it, how we actually end up using it, and how it gets tangled up in who we are. It's a complex dance, not a simple one-way street.
Okay, so let's bring this all back to today. What does this more complicated view mean for us, right now, with these powerful little computers in our pockets? Let's apply this whole framework to the digital age.
Digital media is a totally different animal. It mashes up every other media into one place. That's convergence. It's interactive, turning all of us from just consumers into producers. It gives us an insane amount of choice. And maybe most importantly, it's mobile. It keeps us always on, connected anywhere, anytime. That combination is what makes figuring out its impact so darn tricky.
And surprise, surprise, the exact same debate from the TV era is playing out all over again. You've got the optimists who see the internet as this incredible tool for democracy and freedom, and then you've got the pessimists who see a dark future of loneliness, shallow thinking, and mass surveillance.
And one of the most powerful arguments from the pessimistic side comes from Sherry Turkle. She says that all our digital connections give us the illusion of companionship, but they let us off the hook from the real, messy, demanding work of actual friendship. And it leaves us in this bizarre state where we might be in a room full of people, but we're all just staring at our screens. We're alone together. So after all this, after the optimists and the pessimists and the reality check, what's the real answer? Who is actually in control here? Is it us or is it our technology? The answer, of course, is that it's both. Technology is not neutral. Every medium has what we can call capacities and constraints. It's built to do some things better than others. The internet, for sure, has a bias towards speed, instant gratification, and interactivity. But its final impact isn't written in stone. It's shaped by our culture, our laws, our economy, and the millions of tiny choices we all make every single day. Which really leaves us with this final, critical question to ponder. Okay, we know our technology has its own biases. It nudges us and pushes us in certain directions. So the real question we need to ask ourselves isn't just what does the technology want from us? The real question is, what do we want from it? What are our biases? What are our priorities? Because in the end, that's what's going to decide where all this goes.